What is up, backyard bassman fans? All right, tonight I have had a lot of questions on, why I prefer the Moccasin jigs. I've got 3 different jigs set out here. Got a little finesse jig, I've got a flipping jig, and then I've got a football head jig. So I'm going to show you a comparison. Now these other jigs that are in here, they're not any specific brand, anything like that. I'm not going to throw anybody's name under the bus or anything like that. Just want to show you a few differences of why I choose Moccasin jigs over others. So first we're going to start off with a finesse jig. And hopefully you guys can see this real easy. So this is a little finesse jig here. This is from a different company. Number one thing I want to point out, number one is the brush guard. If you guys look here, look how much that overhangs that hook. It's all the way back to the bin there. That's one, it's going to create issues. It gets really limber when you get it that far out, so it bends real easy, so even grass and stuff like that is really going to knock that thing down. So that's one negative to it. Number two, being that long, you've got to set that, you've got to get that fish way down in here, which actually creates less of a hookup ratio right here. You're getting too much of this brush guard in there. So that fish is going to grab a bunch of that brush guard, and there's a chance that you're going to miss that hook set on there. Number two, if you look at this hook right here, get everything out of the way for you, you can see how much of that hook, there's not a big hook right here at all. It's actually pushed forward a little bit. This is getting too close to the head. There's not much room in between here and the head, which another reason you're not going to have a whole lot of clearance right here to get in between the head and the hook to get a hook set. So that fish is going to have that right in the corner of their mouth almost to get that hook set just right. If you get a little bit bigger fish, like let's say a 4 or 5 pounder, this is going to have a hard time getting over that lip and really penetrating in there. It's going to be a hard hook set, I can tell you that, to get that just right in there. So that's just a couple key things on that one. The other thing is, if you look at this head, this is an Argy style head. This is the Moccasin jig here. Now, if you look at that head design, notice where the eyes are. That's a big thing with Moccasin. I don't care for having the eye turned this way. One, it gets hung up way too much. That's my opinion. I fish a lot of riprap rock. I fish a lot of brush and lay down stuff like that. I get hung up 10 times more with this style head than I do this with that eye being up there like that. Just to show you a comparison here, side by side with these brush guards, okay, you can see them brush guards on them hooks. And notice the hook size, guys. These are both finesse jigs, like I said. So notice the hook size, how much smaller this one is compared to this one. This has got a nice beefy style hook on there, not too big for a finesse jig. The brush guard, guys, I can tell you one thing you can look at to really help you out. This brush guard should come down with this bar right here. That's a perfect length right there. It's not too stiff, it's not too limber, stuff's not going to fall in there. And notice how much room you have in here to get a hook set. There's plenty of room there. Like I said, with that extra bigger hook on there, like I said, there's not much on that little one there. So there's just something to look at with your finesse jigs there. Move up here, we're going to go on to the flipping jigs. I'll show you this one here. Like I said, I'm not mentioning any brand names or nothing like that. Right off the bat here, you notice the brush guard. It's way past, all the way back into the bin there. So you're going to have to trim it up, and get it back here. Guys, the one thing I can tell you about trimming brush guards on jigs, a lot of times what happens is when a jig company is making a jig, they put these brush guards on here and they leave them long like that, and they are plenty limber at that point. But what you have to keep in mind is once you trim that down to where you need it, then it starts to get really stiff. So then it's almost too stiff, you can't get a good hook set in there. You won't get hung up or nothing, but you won't get a hook set either. So that's the other thing with Moccasin is, like I said, they're already pre-trimmed. You don't have to trim them at all. But on going into this jig here, like I said, the brush guard's way past there. This one does have a little bit beefier style hook. It is a little bit bigger, wider gap there, so your hookup ratio should be fine. It's not terrible at all, you know, nothing wrong with that. I'd say the hook size is fine on this one, but the one thing I do have an issue with on this particular jig. Let me hold these up side by side. I'll start off with the heads here. You notice this one's a little bit slimmer, this one's a little bit wider. Both the same size head here though. They do both have the eyes in the correct position, you know, going up and down, not side to side. So that's a plus there. Now let me roll around here. I don't need to show you the brush guard on here on the Moccasin because it's, like I said, it's already trimmed to perfection. They come that way. You don't have to do anything. You can see the different style hooks there. Like I said, this one's got a really wide gap hook, which is actually pretty decent. There's nothing wrong with that at all. You should be able to get up a hookup ratio just fine with that. But what I want to show you, and it's hard to see on there, I'm sure, but the difference in hooks here on thickness. This is a little bit lighter wire than what these are. These have really good hooks on these mustad hooks. They don't bend real easy or nothing like that. They're very, very strong. This one, on this cheaper one, I can, without hopefully poking myself here, I can show you that hook bends pretty easy, and it shouldn't bend that easy on a jig hook. On a jig hook like this, on a 1/2 ounce, you want something that's pretty stout. Throwing 1/2 ounce weight, that's a pretty good weight to be throwing for bass fishing. I'm typically going to throw that on 17, probably 20-pound fluoro. If I'm fishing real clear water, but I still need that 1/2 ounce, I will go down to 15-pound fluorocarbon, but most of the time I'm going to stay around that 17, 20-pound fluoro. So if you match that up with 17-pound, 20-pound fluorocarbon, there's a good chance you're going to start bending that hook out on that little bit lighter wire hook. So that's the flipping side of the jigs there. Now on to the football jigs. All right, guys. So this is actually these are 3/4 ounce football head jigs. I'll show you here, flipping back here. So you can see they're kind of the same exact design. Now these are made more for rolling around the bottom, stuff like that, little hopping along the bottom across the chunk rock and stuff like that. That is why you have the eyes set up this way, because you're gonna be pulling it through there like that. On this particular jig, this works fine. Once again, we'll look at both brush guards here. This is the Moccasin one. This is the other brand. This other brand, it's a little bit long. It's not terrible, but it is definitely a little bit long for that. You can see Moccasins, perfect, straight to that point every time. But look at the hook difference. Guys, if I'm throwing, I will not throw this. This is a 3/4 ounce jig. There is no way I'm throwing this on that light a wire hook. Like I said, guys, hopefully you can see the difference there. This is extremely light. There's no way I'm throwing that on a 3/4 ounce jig. There's gonna be way too much set there on a hook set, on your fish, everything else. You're gonna bend that hook out almost guaranteed. Other than that, I mean, the football jig, like I said, there's not a whole lot of difference there except for that hook, but I really wanted to point that out, guys. If you're throwing 1/2 ounce or better, you want a pretty beefy style hook. The only time I really go down in hook size or go down to a light wire is when I'm going to go down to that Finesse Jig. I don't mess around with jigs. Jigs are usually a really hard hit. It's a hard hook set. So I don't want to take the chance of either one, bending out a jig, two, just breaking that hook off, which I've had happen. It's just stuff I want to stay clear of. So guys, if you're in the market for jigs, I'm telling you, go check out Moccasin Jigs. They're well worth the money. There's nothing you have to do to these things. They're perfect straight out of the box. Like I said, the hooks are good. Your head design is just unbeatable on these jigs. The weed guards are already trimmed to perfections. Your hooks are super sharp. You never have to worry about that. And like I said, a biggest majority of their jigs do have that inline, just like this here, that inline eye on there. So you will not get hung up as much. Like I said, I've fished them for quite a while now, and I'm telling you, they come out of cover very well. So if you guys are interested in buying any jigs from them, make sure you go check them out. I will have all the links down below in the description. And if you go order them, I do have a code. It's capital BYB81. That will get you 20% off anything on that you order on their website. It's a great deal. Like I said, once you order these jigs, you're going to have a hard time going anywhere else. So that's all I got for you guys today. I appreciate you guys watching. If you could, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you aren't subscribed already, and hit that notification bell so you're getting notified when I'm putting out new content. And we will see you guys again on Sunday. Thanks.